Hello and welcome to the Pet Stop. I'm Dr. Brian Voynick from the American Animal Hospital in Randolph. Well, for lots of people, dogs are like potato chips. You can never have just one, but for those who do have more than one, they are surely aware of the challenges of having a multiple pet household. And here with some advice on how to start one and maintain the peace is dog behavioralist, therapist, and master trainer, Greg Kleva. He is the trainer with Bark Busters and also host of It's a Dog's Life on Sirius XM's Martha Stewart's Living Radio. Happy to see you.
So nice to be back. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Greg. You've had a lot of experience training these guys.
I have, yes.
A couple of your patients are right with us on stage, and one is just about falling asleep.
That's
here.
Big Bowser. We try to exhaust him, yes. And that's Murray, his cousin.
Cute. Oh, cute. So big and small, which gets us to one of the questions that one of our viewers had. Does it matter if a dog is big or small? Will they still get along?
In a multiple dog household, these guys are not my dogs, but I'll use my own personal example. I've got an 85-pound American Bulldog and an 8-pound miniature Pinscher. Mm-hmm. They get along well together. What we really look for is a match of good temperament. And temperament has nothing to do with the dog's breed or size or age. Mm-hmm. Temperament has to do with the dog's preferences and energy level to some extent. So dogs of differing sizes can get together just fine in a multiple dog home. However, you do want to be careful about that level of play because, of course, a smaller dog can get hurt by a rough dog or a big dog that's playing a little too rough.
Oh, sure, yeah. But there's a recent YouTube that shows a huge dog with a little kitten interacting and playing. So
it's amazing to see how gentle big dogs can be. Bowser's no exception.
Yeah. He's a gentle giant for sure.
He certainly is.
Give us some tips on selection, of a multiple. If say you have one and you want to introduce another one, what do you recommend as far as sex, size, temperament?
The temperament is important.
How do you test them?
The temperament is important first of all. So you want to make sure that, again, dogs of similar energy level. Make sure that if you've got a dog that's kind of calm and low-key, that you don't bring a dog that's too high energy into the equation, because they're not going to be dogs that get along. They're not going to complement one another. So get dogs of similar energy level. If you've got a mature or even an older dog at home who's kind of calm, don't bring an exuberant little puppy into the house and expect that they're going to get together. You don't have to avoid that situation, but don't expect it to be harmonious necessarily. And then, of course, we do look at gender. Gender is very important. Mm-hmm. We find that the best pairing is of opposite sex. Okay. If the dogs are closely matched in their temperament, male-male works out okay a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Female-female can be problematic. It can work, but we find most issues with multiple dog homes are between two females in the same home.
And as a behavioralist, spaying and neutering, I would imagine, is high on the list.
Always important, of course.
Yeah, number one. Oftentimes, if and when there is a behavioral problem with a male, and they're not neutered, I'll just tell them, hey, look, save some time because your behavioralist will say neuter the dog first and go from there.
We do go with that message. It is important, and there are so many benefits to spaying and neutering, and behavior is just one of them.
Right, medical as well. How would an owner recognize if there's trouble in a multiple pet household?
You really want to know your dogs. Watch your dogs, know what their preferences are. Your dog communicates with body language. Mm-hmm. Your dog's not going to go, hey, he's bothering me, Mom, help me out here. So you really want to key in on your dog's body language. Right. The kind of things you want to look for in particular are that stiff, still stare. Staring can be a precursor or preamble to a fight or towards aggressive behavior. Sure. If the dog's hackles, stick up on the back of the neck, the hair sticks up. If the dog's tail sticks up and twitches, again, these are all signs or signals that your dog is having an issue and it could lead to a fight. Yeah.
Greg, what can occur around feeding time? That's a crucial time for multiple dog households.
Yeah, your dog is going to have specific resources that it is going to protect. Dogs do not share very well, and feeding time is one of the big ones. If your dogs don't share food well together, make sure you feed them not only separately, but even separate them. In other words, feed them in their crates where they can be apart. Put a baby gate between them, feed them in separate rooms. However you have to manage that situation. Make sure you pick up your dog's food bowls when they're empty so there's no bickering over even an empty food bowl. We see the same thing around toys, what we call high-value items. Yeah. Raw meaty bones, food motivational toys. A new toy can be very valuable to one dog and it may be protective. And even the dog's owner can be seen by the dog as a possession, and there could be aggression in that situation also.
Good advice, Greg. And even medically speaking, you shouldn't have the food out there all day long because that can cause problems. You might not be in the same room and so forth. Plus, it's easier to house train them when you realize that giving them an isolated time of 10 or 15 minutes maximum, then pick up the food.
For sure.
And that's that gastrocolic reflex that when your stomach's full, you'll expect a BM, and then you could more consistently take them out at appropriate times.
Absolutely. Dogs are not grazers, so you don't leave the food out there. Controlling that food source is very very valuable.
What about sharing toys? That can be an issue.
Yeah, toys can be problematic. You know, if you introduce your dog to new toys, or like I said previously, if the dog sees that toy as a high value item or high value resource, you want to make sure that you can allow your dogs to play with those toys in a multiple dog home. But again, separate the dogs. Use common sense. If they just can't share them, then just don't give them to them. You know, we see a lot of problems around raw meaty bones, food motivational toys, you know, toys you could stuff food inside of them for the dog to use. Again, a new toy, sometimes the dog will protect that or guard that. So around toys, if the dogs can tolerate them and if they can play in an acceptable way, give them to them. But if there's any fighting, try to avoid it.
Right. And if they just won't get along, what do you recommend?
That's an unfortunate situation. It's one of the hardest things that we need to deal with as behavioral therapists is what we call sibling rivalry, or dogs that live in the same home that just cannot get along. With behavioral training, with good behavior modification, it can be helped. But it always comes with that caveat that, listen, your dogs may either live a life completely separate from one another, or you may have to consider rehoming one of the dogs.
Yeah, I always recommend start out with a trainer such as yourself right from the beginning.
That's the best start.
That, you know, things will work out. Talk about Barkbusters real quick while we have a couple of seconds.
Yeah,
time.
Barkbusters are the world's largest dog training company. If you do have problems in a multiple dog home, you can reach out to a Barkbusters trainer in your area. There's 250 of us across the country, around most major cities. And you can find a behavioral therapist near you at www.barkbusters.com.
All right, and listen to you on Sirius Radio.
I look forward to it.
Thanks so much.
Thanks
Take
for having
care.
me.
You're welcome.